Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Talking Cardboard. My name is Cory, and in this episode I will be going through Aeons End War Eternal, one of my new favorite cooperative deck building games. I've only played it a couple times as a solo play, have not played it multiplayer yet, but the game does play up to 4 players. In this video I just want to touch on a little bit on how to play the game, and then I will run through a full playthrough of a solo play. So let's get started. Okay, and here we are. Let's get down to the top-down camera to take a look at what we have going on here in Aeons End War Eternal. Aeons End War Eternal is the second big box standalone expansion to the whole Aeons End system. The original Aeons End, it does have a second edition for the original base game as well, but from the research I had done, War Eternal being the second iteration, the first big box expansion. From the research that I had done, I did hear that it does bring a little bit more complexity to the game, a little bit more variation with the different heroes that you can be, and the special abilities, the asymmetry, and all the combos that you can do. So that is what led me to my decision to pick up the War Eternal version of the game. At its heart, like I said, it is a deck building game. You can play it solo, you can play it up to 4 players, it's a fully cooperative. And you can play it, one of the things I appreciate about it is you can play it as a pure solo game, just playing with one hero if you choose to do so. In today's run through, I will be running through just the normal difficulty of the game. They do have, they do have an easy variant or like a beginner variant, an expert variant, and an extinction variant to the game as well. So you can really ratchet up the difficulty of the game depending on how familiar you are with it. I did play the first couple times solo in more of the beginner setting where Gravehold, the city that we are defending, started off at 35 health. Well, now with the normal version of the game, it only starts off at 30 health here. And you can also ratchet up the difficulty where the Nemesis, the main big bad boss, starts off with more or less health and that sort of thing as well. They also have an increased difficulty special ability here on the Nemesis if you choose to make it more difficult also. But yeah. What I really appreciate about the game, I'll just get into some of my pros real quickly before going through how to play, is that the buy row of cards over here is completely random each game. The heroes are completely random. Your starting hand is completely pre-set up depending on the hero that you're going to be as well. So there is a whole lot of variability to this game, not only with difficulty, but also with the amount of different nemesises. You can bring a random nemesis to the table each game. I believe this base game or this base expansion here comes with at least 5 or 6 different nemesis that you can choose to play with. And then the nemesis deck up here is also randomly distributed based on the difficulty of tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 difficulty cards that you randomly shuffle and then compile the deck together to have an increased amount of difficulty as you play through the nemesis deck here. The main goal of the game is to try to defend Gravehold, the city of Gravehold. Try not to die. My character here on the normal difficulty starts off with 10 health. As you can see here, I am player 1. It being a solo game only here, I am player 1 the whole time, and my health is 10. In a solo game, which is a little bit different than multiplayer, is when your character dies, it increases the difficulty of how much damage the Nemesis is dealing to Gravehold. You don't necessarily just lose the game automatically as you would in a multiplayer game. So keeping Guru, my hero, alive isn't as critical in a solo game, but it does really ratchet up the difficulty if he does die. So I've got a starting hand here. As you can see off to the left, I start with a torch, a spark, and then 3 crystal cards. The crystal cards are going to help me gain ether to buy additional cards from the buy rows here to add them to my deck to make my deck better and stronger as we play the game. And then I have a couple spells, the torch and the spark, that can deal damage and that can help me with opening up my breaches here, as you can see above my player board as well, which I'll get into here in a second. So a few different moving mechanisms going on with this game, but at the heart of it, it is a very simple, kind of streamlined, easy game to play and understand once you get the hang of it, which I really appreciate that about the game as well. So this is my starting hand. Also, your starting deck comes with a pre-assembled starting cards as well. So my starting deck starts with 3 crystals and 2 spark cards in here as well. One of the other unique things about Aeon's End, if you've heard anything about the whole Aeon's End system, is that you never shuffle your discard pile to form a new deck after your deck is exhausted, like in a normal deck building game. You simply turn over your discard pile in whatever order the cards were discarded in, flip it over, and that creates your new starting deck again as you play the game. So as you are choosing to discard cards or play cards at specific times to add them to your discard pile, that'll affect the order of the cards from your discard pile, and then essentially the order of the cards that you'll see come up into your hand as you draw new cards as you play. So that's a part of the strategy also. As you can see here, getting into the whole system in card play, like I said, we're trying to deal damage to the main nemesis. The nemesis here is the Gate Witch that I'm playing against here. The Gate Witch starts off at 70 health, so I need to get the Gate Witch down to 0 health to win the game. It's got an Unleash ability here that it says the Gate Witch gains 1 Nemesis token. Here's the Nemesis tokens here, and then some additional rules to do with those Nemesis tokens. It says at the end of the Nemesis turn, if the Gate Witch has 5 or more Nemesis tokens and there's exactly 1 Nemesis card in the turn order discard pile, then it actually accelerates time. You shuffle a Nemesis turn order card back into the draw pile for the Nemesis deck, and then the Gate Witch loses 4 of the Nemesis tokens off of the card back over here. So it kind of accelerates, giving the Nemesis a little bit more extra turns during that round. The way the turn order deck works is that at the beginning of each round, you just flip over the top card, and that'll tell you whether or not it's my turn or the Nemesis's turn. In a multiplayer game, you seed the turn order deck, obviously with player 1, 2, 3, 4, however many players are playing the game. You seed a turn order card for those players into the deck, along with 2 Nemesis cards. You're always playing typically with a total of 6 turn order cards. So in a 4-player game, you've got 1 of each player and 2 Nemesis cards to make a total of 6. In a normal, kind of more difficult, not the beginner level structure of a solo game, we're only playing with 5 turn order cards. So I get 3 turns for every 2 Nemesis turns per round. So it's a little bit more difficult. The first 2 times I played the game, I did play on, like I said, on a more beginner mode where I used all 6 cards, where I got 4 turns for every 2 Nemesis turns. Like I said, the turns come up randomly, so you don't know whether or not you're going to go or the Nemesis is going to go. The Nemesis could take up to 2 to 3 turns in a row, depending on how the turn order deck is shuffled and randomly chosen. So you just don't know exactly when they are going to strike. That's kind of the fog of war type system in this game. You don't know when the Nemesis is going to strike or when you'll have your turn to strike back. Also in this Nemesis deck here, as we are turning over cards each turn, it can spawn minions. That'll make it more difficult, and you have to take down those minions to get rid of those special abilities that it's giving to the main Nemesis. You can choose just to attack the Nemesis and go straight for the throat here and get rid of it without dealing with the minions. But if you let the minions, if you allow them to stack up more and more throughout each round, it's just going to become increasingly difficult for that. So getting into the card play a little bit here, like I said, I've got my 5 starting cards here for my starting hand. To play cards to deal damage to the Nemesis, you have these 4 breaches in front of you. You can only play cards to an open breach. I start the game here with only 1 open breach out of the 4, so I can only play 1 card to deal damage every turn. And the system is a little bit more of a stall system, where you do have to, for example, prep a spell card, and then the next turn, the next time it would be your turn is when you can actually cast that spell out of your breach. So you can't just play a card to deal damage immediately. You have to prep your spells into the breaches first, and then on a later turn you can choose whether or not you're going to cast that spell. So it's a little bit of a delayed turn structure with that. So you can't just rush and pound the crap out of the Nemesis immediately. You have to really play with these breaches to give yourself the best opportunity to deal damage as often as possible. To open the 3 remaining breaches that are closed right now, for example, my Guru hero starts with breach number 2, 3, and 4 in different positions, and you have to pay ether to either immediately open them. For example, it's 5 ether to open breach number 2, 7 to open breach number 3, or 10 to open breach number 4. Or you can just choose to focus the cards by turning them clockwise to make them less expensive, until eventually it gets to the point where the least expensive option is having the yellow part of the breach facing upward, which then only costs 2, 3, or 4 ether to open instead of that more expensive cost. So That's another big part of the game is in a solo play, you're trying to focus your breaches to make them easier to open, or in a multiplayer game, you can actually help your teammates focus their breaches on your turn to help them more quickly open their breaches as well. So that's pretty much how it works. You're just gaining ether to gain more cards to your discard pile to make your deck better, to try to take down the nemesis or take down the minions, and then essentially overall take down the nemesis to win the game, and then hopefully do that before the nemesis can take you down. Looking at the buy row of cards here, I start with 2 relics, 3 different types of gems, and 4 types of spells, and these were all randomly chosen as well. So some of these cards might not really work with the strategy that I'm going with, and it might just be a completely dead card for this game, but that's a part of Aeon's End that's really cool. Also, you never know what you're going to get. You can choose a random hero if you'd like. You can choose, random starting cards in the buy columns here, buy rows, that you just don't know exactly what you have to work with to try to take down that nemesis. And that's a part of the tactical strategy in this game, is just trying to deal with what you've been given to try to do the best you can over here. Taking a look at the relics here, I'll just go through each one of them. This one costs 3. It's Conclave Scroll. Essentially, this one says gain 1 charge. A charge is actually charging up your special ability on your character. For example, here, Guru takes 5 charges here at the bottom, and as soon as I charge it up fully, I can then spend those to do his special ability. So this helps me gain a charge, and it says if this card's supply is empty over here, you may destroy the top card of any ally's discard pile. And an ally in a solo game is yourself, so that'll help you cull cards out of your discard pile to try to thin out your deck to get rid of some of the cards that are less effective for you, essentially, that you start the game with. Over here, this other pile is a Fiend Catcher, costs 3 ether. It's my other relic. You may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile, so this helps thin out your deck as well. And then it says reveal the top card of the turn order deck, and if you reveal the Nemesis turn order card, you may place that card on the bottom of the turn order deck to help stall out the Nemesis a little bit longer. So the Fiend Catcher is a really cool card. And then you've just got 3 gems here. These gems essentially are just better versions of your standard crystal. I start the game with 3 crystals in my hand and also 3 crystals in my deck, and those essentially just give me 1 ether per crystal to buy cards with. And this Dread Diamond, Erratic Ingot, and the Bloodstone Jewel just help me get basically better ether generation as I purchase those. They're expensive though, cost 3, 5, or 6 for these gems, and then it generates 2 ether, and another special ability here at the bottom to gain additional ether, and then the Bloodstone gains 3 ether per bloodstone that you play, and then immediately when you purchase it, it also gains you the 3 ether immediately. So it helps you purchase more cards. It doesn't really essentially cost the full 6. It gives you 3 back immediately if you can afford to do that. For the spells here at the bottom here, I have a cost of 4, 4, 5, and 6. So the spells are pretty expensive to purchase, but they do some really cool effects. Carbonize says if you cast this card, you deal 3 damage. Like I said, you can cast your damage straight to the Nemesis or straight to one of the minions that the Nemesis plays. And then reveal the top card of your turn order deck. You may place the card on the bottom of the turn order deck. So that helps you kind of stall out the Nemesis as well, just like some of these other relics here at the top. The Pyrotechnic Surge cost 4 spell. It says this spell must be prepped in 2 adjacent breaches in order to play it. So I can't even, if I were to purchase this card, I can't even play it yet because I don't have 2 breaches that are open to even play the card. So that essentially would take up 2 breach slots in order to even play, to even prep the spell to then cast it. If you can pull that off and you can cast the spell deals 4 damage, and you may destroy a card in your discard pile. So a lot of these cards that I randomly drew to the purchase rows here are really helping thin out my deck and get rid of cards that may be less valuable to me throughout the game. So that's really cool. I do really like the setup of the distribution that I got here randomly. It's pretty nice. This card that costs 5, it's a Celestial Spire, cast to deal 3 damage. If this card's supply is empty, any ally gets to draw a card as well. So a lot of these have to deal with trying to even purchase all the cards out of the deck of cards. All the cards in each deck are the same to help trigger more special powers on the card as well. So that's neat. Last spell here I have to purchase, or have available to purchase, costs 6. It is Conjure the Lost. And it says cast to deal 5 damage. You may destroy this, and if you do, then Gravehold gains 4 life. So Conjure the Lost is really valuable to help gain some more life to Gravehold. Gravehold can never get above the starting value of health, but if once it gets damaged, you can heal it back up to try to stall out essentially losing the game. So that'll be very valuable as we play as well. So let's just get pretty much right into it. I guess the last thing I wanted to mention is Garu's special ability called Colossal Force. Like I said, if I can charge it all the way up to the top, I can then spend those charges as a free action. It says activate during the main phase. I can discard up to 4 of my prep spells, any number 1 through 4 spells that I have prepped up there, to deal 2 damage plus 4 additional damage for each spell that I discarded, and I can divide that damage among the Nemesis and any minions that I choose. I can just divide it however I choose between those. Typically, you have to choose whether or not you're doing all the damage to a minion or all of your damage to the Nemesis, but his special ability here allows me to divide that out. In the first couple games, I did have a different hero. This is my first time playing Garu, but I think his special ability is really neat to deal some extra damage. So let's just get right into the gameplay here. And first thing you do, my little cheat sheet here on the player turn, it's the casting phase. If I had any prep spells, I can now cast those. I don't have any prep spells yet. It's the beginning of the game, so I can skip that, and I go right into the main phase. Main phase, I can do any of these in any order I choose. Play gem cards, play other cards from my hand, open breaches. I can focus and do various things. But the very first thing on whose turn it's going to be is turning over the top card of the turn order deck, and it says player 1, so it's my turn to start the game. So like I said, I have no spells to cast, so I can't cast anything yet, but I can play cards out of my hand here as I see fit. So I think here, the first thing I would like to play is I will prep my torch. And it says the torch I can cast to deal 1 damage, or I can cast it to focus any player's breach. So I think that'll help me open up some of these breaches a lot more quickly. Other cards in my hand I can choose to keep in my hand until the next turn and just draw up to my total hand size of 5, or I can choose to discard it if I would choose to do so. I think I will keep it in my hand for now. And then I've got 3 of these crystals to spend for 3 ether on purchasing another card to my discard pile. So first thing here, I've got 3 to spend, just taking a look here. The relics, like I said, are nice for charging and also kind of thinning out my deck and doing the turn order, but I think I want to generate some more gem and ether power here. So I will add the Dread Diamond to my discard pile, and now in any order, I can discard the rest of the cards that I've either played or cards from my hand, and I think I'll keep that Spark in my hand, just discard the rest of these crystals that I had played. And now I draw up to my hand size of 5, so I just draw 4 new cards. And now I've got 2 sparks with 3 crystals to deal with for my next hand here. So that was my entire turn there, and now we go into the turn order deck here as well. And now it's the Nemesis turn. So Nemesis, first thing you do is you would resolve any cards that are already out in the Nemesis display. Because there are none, you draw a card. But if there were cards out there, you would resolve them from left to right, and then you would draw 1 additional card. Every time it's the Nemesis's turn, draw 1 additional card to that play area to see what happens here. So the first thing drawn here is a minion. It's a Deep Abomination, and it's got a health of 6. So I'll just throw a die here for a health of 6. So it takes 6 to get rid of it. And it says persistent. So each player suffers 1 damage for each turn order card that the player has in the turn order discard pile. That persistent is not going to happen yet because it doesn't resolve the turn it comes out. Some cards have immediate effects, but now until this minion is defeated, every single Nemesis turn that is going to deal a damage to each player, so my actual character will suffer damage equal to the amount of cards in the turn order discard pile. So right now it's already up to 2 damage, and it's only going to get worse from there. All right, so that was the Nemesis turn here. And flip over the next card. Nemesis turn again, right here in a row. So that is not looking too great at the moment. So the first thing we do, the Deep Abomination is going to attack. Now there are 3 cards in the turn order discard pile. So Garu's going to take 3 damage from 10 down to 7. So I'm already getting really hurt there. Some random cards in the buy powers or in the buy rows that you can draw into the game help you heal up your characters. Some other character special abilities help heal yourself or other characters. Just so happens that I don't really have a good way of doing that in this game, so this might be a quick defeat for me this time, but we'll see what happens. So the Deep Abomination attacked, and now another card is going to resolve, and it is Hasten. It's an attack. It says, any player suffers damage equal to the number of Nemesis tokens Gatewitch has. Gatewitch doesn't have any Nemesis tokens at the moment, but then the next step here on the card says Unleash, and Gatewitch's Unleash power says the Gatewitch gains 1 Nemesis token. So now the Gatewitch does have a Nemesis token. It says place this card on the bottom of the Nemesis deck. So that will return in the future, potentially. So that was the Nemesis turn. Now we flip over the next card, and there you go. It's player 1 or 2. I am player 1, so it'll be me. So now it is my turn again. First thing I can do is cast any spells in any of my prep spells area, which I will. So I will cast my Torch, and I will do it to focus any player's breach. I will focus my second breach here to make that a little bit less expensive to open. Now it only costs 4 to open instead of 5, but like I said, I can keep focusing that to make it less and less expensive as I go. So I cast that, it goes right to my discard pile, and now I have my hand to play with. I think I will prep a Spark, and yeah, I guess I should have probably gotten rid of that other first Spark because that's not doing me any good right now, but I do have 3 crystals to purchase a card with, and those are going to sit up there until I purchase a card. Let's see. Let's take a look at some of these relics. Like I said, Conclave Scroll, gain a charge, helps me with charging up my special ability. And if the card supply pile is empty, I may destroy the top card. So that's really hard to get to, especially in a solo game. It's really difficult to purchase all those cards out of a stack. The Fiend Catcher, you may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile, reveal the top card of the turn order deck, and you can place that at the bottom. So I think I'm going to purchase a Fiend Catcher to try to help combat against having the Nemesis take 2 turns or more in a row like had just happened in this round, because that is really devastating. So purchase the Fiend Catcher. Now in any order for my hand and the cards I had played, I can place them in my discard pile. So I'll put the crystals there. I'll put my Spark in the discard pile. Now I'll drop to my 5 hand card size here. So like I said, in Aeon's End, you do not shuffle the discard pile. You just flip it over. That becomes your new draw deck, and you draw the remaining cards up to your hand size. So 4 more cards to create a 5-card hand. And now that's my new hand here to work with. All right, so that does it for my turn. Now the next card in the turn order deck, this is the last one here before we shuffle. It is player 1's turn again, my turn. I can deal a damage with my Spark card because it was prepped previously. I will choose to damage the Abomination down to 5 health. Not dealing any damage to the Gatewitch yet, but I think that'll come in handy. I can now prep my other Spark. And now with the Dread Diamond, it says gain 2 ether. You may discard a prepped spell, and if you do, gain an additional ether. So I could turn this Dread Diamond into 3 if I choose to discard this prepped Spark. So I would have a total of 6, which is very, very powerful, which I think I will. I'll discard the Spark to make that a 3. Now I've got a total of 6 ether to purchase cards with. And I think with the 6 ether, do I just go all the way up to Conjure the Lost immediately, or do I start doing other things here? Yeah, or a Bloodstone Jewel would be very helpful as well. I think I'll go ahead and just ramp up my ether power here with the Bloodstone Jewel. I think that'll be more helpful than anything else at the moment. So that does it for my turn there. And with charging your player special ability, with some of those ether, I could have chosen to charge some of his charges down here. He's got 5 of them. Each charge costs 2 ether to charge it up. You just put charge tokens here at the bottom until it's fully charged. But I'm just choosing to spend all 6 on the Bloodstone Jewel instead of doing any of my charges there. Hopefully it pans out the way I expect. So now I draw back up to my hand size, a total of 5 cards because I had played all 5 cards. Torch, Fiend Catcher, and 3 crystals. And now the turn order deck is completely exhausted, so you have to shuffle it back up. And then you just flip the next card in the turn order deck to see whose turn it is next. And you just rinse and repeat until you either die, or Gravehold dies, or until the Nemesis dies. So Got that there. Let's see whose turn it is. It is my turn here again. All right, and the first thing I'm going to do here is prep a torch here again, and then I will play my Fiend Catcher card. You may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. I think I will destroy one of the crystals out of the game because those are becoming less and less valuable now that I'm buying better gems. And then it says, reveal the top card of the turn order deck, and if you reveal the Nemesis turn order card, you may place the card on the bottom of the deck. So let's reveal that. It is a Nemesis, so I will put it at the bottom. Hopefully that'll help me take another turn here in a row instead of the Nemesis going. And then the Fiend Catcher goes away. And then I've got 3 crystals to do either purchase a card with, I can focus some more of my breaches, or I can charge up my special ability. So I think my main goal here is to keep focusing my breaches to try to get this open. So it costs 2 every time I focus. So I can focus one of them there. Kind of not really getting full value out of it because it only costs 2 to do that, but with only 1 crystal left, 1 ether left, I really can't do a whole lot with that. So that does it for my turn. Now the next in turn order is me again. I should have drawn up to 5 cards. Like I said, you don't shuffle, you just flip the discard pile into your new deck. Draw up to my 5 card hand. Ooh, a lot of sparks. Not necessarily great at the moment. Okay, first thing is you have the opportunity to cast any prep spell, so let's do that now. I can either deal 1 damage or I can focus any player's breach. I think I will go ahead and focus this breach. I will cast that. So now to open it, it only costs 2. It is in the cheapest form to now open it. I will go ahead and play my Dread Diamond for 2 ether to now open this breach. So now I've got 2 breaches opened. I can prep 2 of my sparks. Oh shoot, and the Bloodstone Jewel said when you gain a Bloodstone Jewel for the first time on your turn, you gain 3 ether. So I was actually supposed to gain 3 ether previously, which I should probably take advantage of, or I'm going to die in a hurry. So I'll take another Dread Diamond to the discard pile. Even though it's not necessarily in the correct spot, I'm cheating a little bit here. That was supposed to happen. But now with the Bloodstone Jewel, it just is 3 ether inherently for the rest of the game. So I think I will use the 3 ether to actually put a charge on my character, or maybe get another Fiend Catcher. Yeah, let's go ahead and spend that to get another Fiend Catcher. Now I can put these back in my discard pile in any order I'd like. Let's go Bloodstone Jewel, Dread Diamond, and then Spark into my discard pile there. And now that's it for my turn. Oh, now it's my turn again. I'm supposed to drop to 5 cards here. Keep forgetting that. Crystal, Crystal, Fiend Catcher, Crystal, Crystal. Not too great. Let's go ahead and cast some damage. So each spark deals 1 damage for a total of 2. I will do both of those to the minion, bringing them down to 3. My Fiend Catcher, I'll go ahead and play that. May destroy a card in my hand or discard pile. Let's see if I've got anything good to discard out of the discard pile here. Nope, I will discard a crystal. Or destroy. I'll destroy a crystal from my hand out of the game. I need to get rid of those crystals as quickly as possible because they are really bogging down my deck. And then I've got 3 crystals to purchase stuff with. And I think I will use the 3 crystals. Let's go ahead and just put a charge token on Guru to try to get a special ability up there. All right, and now in any order, I can put them back into my discard pile. Draw back up to 5 cards to my hand. There's that crystal again. 3, 4, 5. And now check to see whose turn it is next. Nemesis. All right, so Deep Abomination goes first. Each player suffers 1 damage, equal to the number of turn order cards in the discard pile. There are 4 currently, so I go from 7 down to 3. 3 health. And I should explain what happens because it's inevitable at this point that Guru is going to die. So if my main character essentially dies, I'm still playing as the character, but he's exhausted to the point where some bad effects really happening. So if he gets down to 0 health, there's no way to really bring him back to life. But what happens is when exhausted, the main nemesis will unleash twice. So it'll get 2 more of these tokens, for example. Destroy one of your breaches. Literally have to just destroy one out of the game. Discard all of my charge tokens. And then any excess damage that is being dealt to Gravehold from here on out, it has a multiplier of 2 on it. So if Gravehold is suffering 4 damage, now it's suffering 8 instead because my hero is exhausted. So not too great. Things are not looking good for me. So that was the minion, and now to end the Nemesis's turn, you always have to draw an additional card. And we've got Temporal Nimbus. It's a power card. It says to discard this, I have to spend 6 ether to get rid of it. It starts off with a power of 3, so it gets 3 power tokens on it. And then essentially this power card will happen every time that it activates, it loses a power token off of it. And when all the power tokens have been discarded off of the card, so it'll take 3 Nemesis turns to get there, then the power 3 ability happens where it unleashes. So the Gate Witch will unleash and get another token onto it. And then the Gate Witch draws an additional card during the Nemesis draw phase this turn. So then when it pops off, it gets 2 cards flipped over and it unleashes. So that'll happen in 3 turns if I don't take care of it by spending the 6 ether to get rid of it. So that is not necessarily great either. Not looking too good, ladies and gentlemen. Not looking too good. So now flipping over the next turn order card, it's Nemesis again. So we're going to resolve this in order. So now it's got 5 cards in the discard pile. That will exhaust Guru. Blows up one of my breaches. And what else happens here? Unleash twice, so it gets 2 more of these tokens. Destroy one of my breaches, which I did. Discard all of my charge tokens, so that was a waste of charging up my character. And now any damage that would be dealt to me is dealt to Gravehold instead at a cost of 2 times more damage. Not great. Now this card is going to happen where a power token gets taken off of it, and then another card will come out. And it's another minion. It is the Portal Wretch. It starts off with 8 health. Get a couple 4s here. 8 health to take it down. And it says, when this minion is discarded from play, shuffle a Nemesis turn order card back into the turn order deck. And then persistent is the player with the most charges suffers 2 damage. So we will be suffering 2 damage every time that this minion attacks now as well, which means no damage to Guru because he's already exhausted, but it means 2 times 2, so 4 damage to Gravehold every time that this Portal Wretch goes off. Not looking great. Not looking great at all. I think this might be a quick playthrough, but at least you'll all get the idea of how Aeons End plays, and I think I just took on a difficulty that is too difficult for me to chew at the moment, but we'll see what happens. So turn order, it is the Nemesis again. So 3 turns in a row. This could be the demise of us all here. So Deep Abomination, it's only 1 card in the discard pile of the turn order track times 2 because I'm exhausted. So Gravehold is going to suffer 2 damage from 30 down to 28. A power token comes off of the Temporal Nimbus. Portal Wretch, player with the most charges suffers 2 damage. So I would assume that Gravehold is taking another 4, even though I don't have any charge tokens. I think you'd still have to suffer the damage. Not really 100% sure on that. Let me know in the comments below if I played that incorrectly, but that's another 4 damage. Gravehold is down to 24, not looking great. And then another card comes over, and it's another minion with a health of 8. So let's put a health of 8 on it. It is a Paradox Beast, persistent. Gravehold suffers damage equal to the number of Nemesis tokens that Gate Witch has. Currently it has 3. This is not looking good. Let's just put that Nemesis. Oh, that'll still be on camera there. Okay. Not looking good at all. Okay, so that was the Nemesis's turn. Now Nemesis again. This is really bad. Really bad. Yep, definitely put it on a setting that is too difficult for me to handle at the moment. So yeah. So first, Gravehold is going to suffer 2 cards times 2, so 4 damage, down to 20 from that Nemesis there. This last power token comes off of the Temporal Nimbus. It says unleash, so unleash, it gets another token. Like I said, when this gets up to 5 tokens, then the bad thing happens. So we're one unleash away from that happening. Gate Witch draws an additional card during the Nemesis draw phase this turn. This goes to the discard pile. So Gate Witch is going to end up drawing 2 cards instead of 1. These will slide down. Portal Wretch, player with the most charges, suffers 2. So now the Gravehold suffers 4 more, down to 16. And I am just getting pounded here. It'll make for a short video though, so at least you'll get the hang of how Aeon's End plays, how difficult it can be if you don't play on the beginner setting, and then just kind of cut our losses there and maybe set it to a less difficult setting next time to try to do a little bit better next time. But that's the fun. That's the fun in Aeon's End. This is as you can see here, the randomness of the cards in the display and everything that's going on, the randomness of the turn order, you never know what's going to happen. So that is a really variable and a lot of fun to try to tackle the puzzle every time. So then the Paradox Beast, Gravehold suffers damage equal to the number of Nemesis tokens that the Witch has. So Gravehold is going to suffer 4 more. The City of Gravehold is down to 12. And I'm that much closer to losing the game. And now it's going to draw 2 cards instead of 1 because of the Temporal Nimbus. Aphotic Sun. To discard, I spend 7 ether. It has a power of 2. And when these power tokens are taken off of it eventually, then the Nemesis will unleash again for another token. The player with the most charges suffers 3 damage and loses all of their charges. Again, Garou suffering 3 damage actually means 6 damage to Gravehold, so not good at all. And then the second card for the Nemesis turn here is another minion. It is a Mage Ender with a health of 9. Health of 9. Oofed. Oofta oofta. Persistent, the player with the most opened breaches suffers 2 damage, so that would be another 4 to Gravehold when that happens. So I am definitely not anywhere near winning this game this time. Turn order, now it's finally my turn. What can I do with what I have? Well, can play Fiend Catcher. May destroy a card from my hand or discard pile. I don't have a discard pile right now. Might as well destroy another crystal, get that out of here. I can focus my torch. And then I've got a Bloodstone Jewel for 3 and a Dread Diamond for either 2 or 3, depending on if I want to discard the torch from my prepped area. So it could be a total of 6. Might as well do that. Nothing else is really happening there anyway. Let's go ahead and put those in any order I want. For a total of 6, I'll buy a Conjure the Lost. Not looking great. All right, now on, well, let's draw up to our hand of 5 cards like we should be doing every time to play the game in the correct order here. Draw another turn order, should be me, it is. Now we've got 3 Sparks, a Dread Diamond, and a Fiend Catcher. Let's go ahead and play the Fiend Catcher again. Let's take a look at what we have here. Let's get rid of a Torch out of the game. Let's prep a couple Sparks, even though we're not doing so hot with that. Dread Diamond, we'll go ahead and, well, we're not going to discard any Sparks. We actually need to start getting some of this damage through if we have any chance at anything here. So just for a cost of 2, I guess I will put a charge on my hero. Now these can go back in any order. Put the Spark away. We don't need another Spark. I don't have enough open breaches for that anyway. Dropped 5 cards from my draw pile. 1, 2, 3. Flip the discard pile into my new draw pile to draw cards 4 and 5. See whose turn it is here. The Nemesis had enough turns in a row, so it should be my turn, and it is my turn again. So now I can cast some spells here. I'll cast both of the Sparks to deal a total of 2 damage, and we'll have that go right at the first minion here to bring it down to 1. Still couldn't take it down. Conjure the Lost, we'll go ahead and prep that. It says when I cast it eventually, if I have the ability without dying first, I can deal 5 damage, and I may destroy this. If I do, I can gain 4 health back to Gravehold. I might end up having to destroy it when I can pull this off just to stay alive. Then I've got the Bloodstone Jewel for 3, and then 3 crystals for a total of 6. Let's just go ahead and get another Conjure the Lost. I'm really not doing well here. Or actually, no. Let's do a Carbonize. Carbonize is really good because I can mitigate the turn order deck a little bit and deal 3 damage, as well as not spend my total of 6, so I have 2 left to add another charge token. Let's just see what that does here. Okay, and now put these in my discard pile in any order. We'll throw those there. Draw up to 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shuffle the turn order deck. And we'll see if I get pounded in the face enough to lose the game right here within the next couple minutes. We'll find out. Turn order first is me. Luckily, can cast, the first thing we can do is cast Conjure the Lost. It deals 5 damage. 5 damage. Well, will I be able to, should I risk it? 5 damage is a lot to spend on just 1. There's nothing that carries over. Kind of not maximizing how great that is if I just take out that Abomination. I think I'll go ahead and I'll just do 5 damage to this Portal Wretch, so down to 3 health. Because I think I'll risk it and see if I can get some other damage to take out the other minion. And then I have the opportunity to destroy this card, and if I do, Gravehold deals 4, so I will destroy it. Gain Gravehold 4, back up to 16 health. Try to live to see another day. Prep another spell. Fiend Catcher. We'll go ahead and get rid of another crystal. Reveal the top card. If it's a Nemesis, I can put it on the bottom. It was not, so I'll leave that on top. Another Fiend Catcher. It's going to help me thin out the deck, but I already know what the top card is, so that's not really helping a ton. Let's get rid of a Spark out of the game. Okay, and then I've got either a total of 4, or I can discard the Spark card to give one of them 3 for a total of 5. Let's just do the 4. Play those to gain another Carbonize. Flip this over into my new draw deck, draw 5 cards to my hand, and then see, hopefully, if it's my turn again, so I don't essentially lose the game. Yep, it was my turn. Yeah, but we've already checked that, so it is my turn. Deal 1 damage with my Spark to take out this Deep Abomination minion. Hallelujah. Those will slide up there. Go ahead and prep a Carbonize, prep a Spark. Then I have a total of 5 Ether to buy cards with. Let's just go heavy on the Carbonize. Let's see, what's the Pyrotechnic Surge again? Oh, must be prepped into 2 adjacent breaches. Deal 4 damage, and you may destroy a card in your discard pile. 4 damage is good, but it takes up 2 breaches to do that. So yeah, let's just go with another Carbonize here. Draw a 5-card hand. And see whose turn it is here. Nemesis. This could be where we die, folks. This could be where we die. First things first, Portal Wretch. Player with the most charges suffers 2 damage, so that's 4 to Gravehold, back down to 12. Paradox Beast. Gravehold suffers damage equal to the number of Nemesis tokens Gatewitch has. Gatewitch has 4, down to 8. Gonna have to kind of excuse me. I've got a little bit of a cold going on, so my nose is a little stuffed up here. The Aphotic Sun loses 1 of its tokens. Then the Mage Ender. Player with the most opened breaches, oh, that's me, suffers 2 damage, so Gravehold suffers 4, goes from 8 health down to 4. Have almost lost the game, and now the Nemesis gets another card. Mutilate, attack card, unleash. So it does get a 5th token for the unleash ability. The players collectively discard 2 prepped spells. Any player suffers 2 damage. So I have to discard 2 prep spells. Suffer 2 times 2 to Gravehold. 4, bringing Gravehold down to 0 to lose the game. And there you have it. I got completely annihilated. I did not even touch the Gate Witch's health once. It's still at 70 health. 70, and I did not touch it once. So a lot in this game has to do with trying to obviously manage your minions and take them down as quickly as possible. I think I just played on a setting that's a little bit too difficult. Maybe the card setup here, I didn't really have the opportunity to ramp that forward as quickly. Also, the Nemesis would have, its special ability would have happened here, because when it has 5 of these tokens on it, what does it say again? At the end of the Nemesis turn, which is now, if the Gate Witch has 5 or more Nemesis tokens, and there's exactly 1 Nemesis card in the discard pile, which there is, this would happen. It accelerates time. Shuffle the Nemesis turn order card into the turn order deck, and Gate Witch loses 4 of its Nemesis tokens. So it would lose 4 of its tokens down to 1 token, but then this Nemesis card would get shuffled back into the turn order deck, and it would essentially get another turn in this round. One more turn than it would have normally gotten. Not great, not great. But I gave it my best shot. I will probably try it on the easier setting next time. Maybe do another random setup of new cards over here too. See if there's some other cards that could have helped maybe gain some life to my hero. Maybe that would have been a little bit better, so Gravehold wasn't taking double damage or anything like that. But over here to the main camera here, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really enjoy Aeon's End a lot, and I'll bring a lot more content to the channel of Aeon's End in the future. Would like to get some of the other members of Talking Cardboard crew involved in a game as well to play this more multiplayer, do more live plays of it multiplayer. I'll definitely do more live plays of it solo as well, because I am just really enjoying the puzzle that this game provides. And like I said with the difficulty, this time I set the difficulty to more of a normal setting and not the beginner setting, and it just really kind of kicked me in the butt. So, I'll probably try Guru another time, because I really do think that his special ability is really nice. I just kind of got out of bad luck. I was just kind of bad luck this time. Like I said, maybe there's some other cards or other combos I can deal with to heal my character before they get exhausted. That would really help out a lot as well. So I hope that helps kind of learn the game, how the flow of the game plays. If you like this video, consider subscribing to the channel. We really appreciate it. Like the video, leave comments below on if you've played Aeon's End and what are some of your favorite heroes or combinations or difficulty settings to play with. And yeah, until next time, we'll see what happens, but this was definitely a massive beating to my face. Have a great day.